If you give me 2 seconds of your time, I'd just like to say a massive thank you for following me so far. This really can't be done without you, the listeners. So thank you. Welcome to Underdog To Owner podcast, where we dive into inspiring stories from entrepreneurs and innovators. I'm your host, Paul Atkins. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Lee Spiller, entrepreneur, co-founder of Soccer Elite, and a leader with Herbalife. We'll explore his journeys, the lessons he's learned, and the advice for anyone to succeed in business and wellness. Lee is a dynamic entrepreneur who's built Soccer Elite to one of the most respectable youth sports brands in the UK. He's also made a mark in the wellness industry with Herbalife. He's passionate for helping others reach their full potential, both on and off the field. Lee has grown his business from the ground up and is truly inspiring. I've been fortunate to know Lee for over 30 years and watched him grow. It's been a remarkable watch. Welcome, Lee.
We were in the gym. I think you gave me the push, really. And I was always thinking about it, but it was always that situation where you're always worried about what other people think. I mean, I've learned not to worry about that too much now, but I'd definitely say that the push was there from you, to be fair. And then I went home to the wife and I said, right, I'm going to do it. And she was like, good, You should do it. You'll be good at it. And I'm like, I don't like a camera. I don't, but this isn't about me. So this is about the people that I invite in and let them tell their stories. And there's some interesting people I know, so including yourself. So You've got a story. And I know we sat there the other day, didn't we, at the gym again, and we were talking about it. And before you knew it, it was like 2 hours later.
I know, you can chat really. I think that's the good thing about what you're doing as well. Like, you're easy to get on with, and like, that's going to be a big part of your success in what you're doing. So, but I'm glad I played a small part in that, because I think it's good I obviously work with a lot of young kids. So, and we always push them to go after what they love doing and, pursue what's going to fulfill them. So I think that this isn't just for the people that come on, your guests, to do something that's maybe a little bit different for them. It's different for me, even though I get to talk in front of thousands of people sometimes. But yeah, sitting behind the camera is different, but it's also nice to be able to share and hopefully, if anyone can take a little bit out of it, then it's great for everyone.
And that's exactly what it's for. It's about people that want to tune in, listen, take little bits away with them. And some of the stories, most of the stories that I've actually done so far, I've been glued to. It's like, I'm like, I didn't know that, and it was kind of like that. Stories that one guy, Ben, he'd never told certain stories to anyone. And he just started coming out with all these, and he's like, and he kept saying, I haven't spoken about these, never spoken about these. And I'm like, but that's great. That's what we want. Feel comfortable, and that's what it's about. I think it's early days, like we did, I'm setting up on my own, and to be fair, you've helped. It reminds me of when I set up, and again, your early days. Yeah. So we start at your early days, obviously, you're growing up.
I think that's what people forget about their school years and what happened at school. And like we spoke about it like briefly the other day, and I was rubbish at school. Like, I think a lot of people, if they put their hand up, like, aren't really academic. And especially some of the people I've met along over the years, is they haven't been great at school. But you know what? I loved it. I loved being around my mates. I loved being around the people. And although the teachers were probably fuming at me a lot of the time because, I was probably a little bit distractive, that I liked being there. And I think that's where, over the years, I've realised that it's a skill set to go and enjoy being around people and be able to communicate. So I went to Seneca School. That's actually been knocked down now. It's a housing estate, funny enough. But that was my secondary school. Seneca was a lovely little school I went to, local to me. We used to be able to, my mum would take me to school, Dad would be up early, and then as I got a little bit older, you'd be able to walk there very quickly, go with my mates, get on your bikes. And I think that's what, for me, is a big part of being young.
Massive part.
Getting on your bike, getting to school, and I had a good time. And then I went to secondary school, and that's really where I think it was probably, I was 10 or 11, and I started to realise I was decent at football. I was playing a lot. I was playing for the districts, and I got into my secondary school, and then got scouted by Chelsea. I had a really good, school and football at the same time. They meant the same thing to me, because it was like being around my mates, playing with my mates. I had a really amazing manager, a club called South Park Rangers. You'd probably remember him.
I remember.
And his name was Ron Tapp, and his guy that worked with him was called Louis Marks. And I remember being like, I felt like I was, back then, like it would have been Ronaldo, the original. They make you feel special, and they put you up in lights, but they also told you when you weren't doing stuff right as well. Got into my district through there, and like with my school, they then put me through to the county trials, and I then quickly moved into Chelsea as a young player, and that was interesting, travelling all over the country. As I was getting a little bit older, I was probably 15. Daniel, my brother, he was in Chelsea too, and he was flying, and it wasn't like it is now. It's very, very different, but at the same time, you were still doing well to be in that sort of environment. And I just thought I was going to be a footballer, and I think that's why it took me off school as well.
I can relate to it.
And I think that's about having passion. And that's, I talk to a lot of the kids I work with now, and I said, come on, get your head down, because I had to go back to school because I didn't put enough effort in, although I like being there. And then I moved into Chelsea, and I actually got moved out of Chelsea for being too small. It's under 16.
Very common then, wasn't it?
It was, and I was massively, and there was no one to pick up the pieces at all.
No.
But I went into, there was a guy that knew me from Gillingham, and he worked with Gillingham Football Club, and he said, come, we want you now. I got told I was too small, and I was actually the youngest in my year group as well. So I weren't too different to what I am now. I never really grew. My son's massive now, so I'm a bit disappointed.
I know. I see him the other day. He's getting taller.
He is. So, but I mean, that was a big thing back then.
It was a huge thing. There was most of us, me included, too small, and they basically that was it. That was the end of it. You're too small. See you later.
No picking up the pieces.
No.
And I mean, it probably paved the way to where I ended up and what I do now. But and then I actually got into Gillingham, and I quickly, even at under 16, and this is year 11 at school, I was playing for the youth team, which is an under 18s group. I got invited in to play there, so which I loved, and then I got offered my apprenticeship there. So I obviously thought, that's me done. That's me as a footballer now. And I had a really good first year at Gillingham. Mike Flanagan was the manager, Neil Smiley was the assistant, and at the end of the first season, I was still 16. I turned up to the ground, and the gaffer called me and just said, Bills, he said, you're in the squad today. We had a game against Charlton, and it was a cup. I think it's a Kent Senior Cup final. It was actually that. And I was like, oh well. And the guy I used to clean the boots for, Neil Smith and Joe Dunn, I went into the boot room and I ain't got my boots, because we used to have to take ours home. The pros were the only ones that kept the boots there, and I was the same size as them. And Neil Smith lent me his boots, size 7, Adidas World Cups.
Lovely,
nice boot. And mate, come on at half time. I got booked within 10 minutes. I was like, my adrenaline was going.
Nervous.
Smashed into a tackle with Steve Gritt, who was a player then. But I had a really good game, went into extra time, we lost, but I got offered a pro contract. Amazing. When I come out of there. And it was the end of the season. They said, go on your holidays, come back, we're going to get you signed. And when I come back I went to Magaluf with the boys, end of season trip, and come back, and the club had gone into receivership. And everything changed, so I saw the rest of the summer out, come back in the new summer. I was a second year apprentice, and without naming names, I come in and I had a new youth team boss, and one of the phrases they said to me, they went, "You're not the big fish anymore." And immediately I felt like I was under pressure. I didn't feel great.
You're still a kid.
Yeah, still a kid. I'd only just turned 17 then, and I think that had a real lasting impression, because I didn't really, that knocked the stuffing out of me. And although I was getting after it, and I wanted to do well, and I was really focused on still the goal and ambition, it knocked my confidence. They played me in different positions, wouldn't play me in my position. Tony Pulis was the manager then, and he'd done great for the club, but he wasn't really interested in. He needed that first season. He needed bodies in that was going to be experienced. So they didn't really have a look at us youth too much, and I was told I wasn't going to get anything, and it was devastating. It was. I remember the feeling like now.
Stays with you, doesn't it?
And I didn't have agents back then. There was none of that.
No, and there was no one to sit you down and say, listen, put your arm around the shoulder. The only people you had is your parents, right?
That's it. And they didn't know any different, really.
Of course they didn't.
It was like, okay, I've got to go and get a job. But I also had a guy called Peter Dean, who was a chairman at Gravesend in the North, a Ribs fleet now. Yep. And he knew I'd been released, and he put me straight into the first team at Gravesend and Northfleet, and I had a couple of really good games. And then I had Margate come in for me at that time, and that's where Jay Saunders was there with me. Yeah. We had a really good squad. We had Elliot Martin, who used to be at Gills, and some really like top players, and a coach that actually helped guide me in the end was Phil Hanford. He'd been in there and done it, looked after us, and I had a really strong season with Margate. And I think I scored like 16, 18 goals from midfield. And in the second season, we played Fulham in the FA Cup, which was on telly. Nice. It was on Sky Sports. My dad even had an interview on it. I remember seeing him popping up on the telly after. But had a really good game. And then I got, I think that this sort of leads to the rejections you get and the knockbacks and the setbacks, because I was constantly doing well and then setback. Doing well, setback, and I think that is part of football.
It makes you.
Yeah, but it does make you.
It does you. I think we talk about the failing in any business or any walk of life. I think you have to fail. You got to understand what it feels like, and it makes you more determined to succeed in something else. There's plenty of people I know that take the knockbacks and can't get up, and my advice for anyone is that you have to get up. You have to get up because there's a purpose for everyone, and I think that. What you've done, in your early days, you've had plenty of knockbacks in football. We talk about football, I mean, I'm so passionate about it, but it's probably one of the hardest professions in the world. Statistically, I think it is. And for you, knockback after knockback kind of galvanised you into being what you are now.
I feel like that. And I think that's the Margate thing, when I had this great game against Fulham, and then 2 months later, I actually had Norwich come in and put an offer in for me, and the club, it was like 80 grand. So it's a lot of money.
That's back then as well.
To the club. Yeah. The club wanted a lot more money.
Right.
And it was like, this is my chance. And I said that it's the first time I've actually saw my dad, because he used to come and watch every game. They used to be there watching all the time.
That's amazing.
And it was part of their life. It's the first time I saw him lose the rag with the chairman of Margate, because in his eyes he's blocking his boys' dreams. And I worked so hard for it. While I was playing for Margate, I was working on a building site, so I was hod carrying. It actually kept me really fit.
I was about to say, I've done it. I've done it.
It's grind, isn't it?
You know Eccles? The Wimpy homes, Eccles did them, and it killed me.
And there's a lot there.
Oh, there was a lot there, and it was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done.
It is a graft, isn't it? And getting up in the morning and knowing, especially in the winter.
They've changed now, being an oddie. But we used to be up and down the ladders, didn't we? Yeah. The odd on the back, muck going everywhere.
Everywhere.
I mean, it was.
They used to put my hand. Did they do? They put my hands in the ice bucket. So I love an ice bath. Yeah. I know what the thought process was behind it. Put my hand in the ice bath.
So you get used to it.
And then once you started working, your hands were burning and warm.
Right.
So you could pick the bricks up and you could work faster.
I know, they never did. I mean,
you didn't get that treatment.
No, I didn't. And if I'm honest, I was bullied, because I was 17, and I wasn't able to do the job. I wasn't experienced. I needed the money, and I'd have done anything, to get money in those days, like yourself. And I was bullied. Because the bricklayer was not nice.
No.
He used to hit me with the back of the old trail, because that's what it was. That back then, that's how it was. I don't regret it. And I just remember I was going to Tenerife with all the lads, and we had all these concrete blocks to put out. And he said, basically, the foreman said, "You're not going to get paid if you don't do it." I'll never forget it. He said, "But you're sacked." I said, "You what?" He said, "You're sacked." He says, "You're no good at it." He says, "But if you want the end of the week pay, you need to put all these blocks out." I'll never forget it. It's 2 houses worth of blocks for the foundations. And these little hands weren't, they were beautiful hands. They weren't ready for concrete blocks. And I had to set them all out, put them all out, and then I had to go and get my money on a Saturday. Go back to site and get my money on a Saturday. And I was sacked afterwards. He said, "You're just not cut out." He says, "You're not cut out for this." And I was so 17.
Yeah, it's ruthless, isn't it?
Yeah, it was ruthless. I learned from it.
Character building.
Yeah, you just don't treat people the way that people treated me. And that's what I've done throughout business. I've not treated anyone that I work with, I don't treat like that.
No.
I give them the respect.
Yeah, you learn lessons.
You do.
Strong life lessons there. And I think that's where Yeah, that's even being even the way that chairman was speaking to us and my dad, and the way he addressed him. It wasn't like it. I was a young boy, so yeah. And then I carried on playing, and I was so determined. Carried on playing, and then I got a trial at Tottenham, and I went into Tottenham. I think I was there for 2 weeks, and that was when David Ginola was all there, and there was some big players, Sol Campbell, and Ginola gave me a pair. So I was in the actual canteen. We were having breakfast before the session. He was in the canteen, and he just had a pair of socks on, shorts, and his vest on, and he was keeping the ball up around the seats. He had a ball in there, and just popping the ball up, and I was just watching him, thinking, this guy.
Yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah, he's
a legend.
He saw that I had a rip, so I had a try, like the try. Let's get the kit, but it wouldn't be brand new like it is now, and also. So the kit man gave me a set of kit, but they had a hole in the sock.
Oh, okay.
And fair play, Ginola threw me a pair of socks because he had spoke to me. He I introduced myself. That's right.
Amazing,
do, mate. But yeah, it was. But do you know what? Because I'd been out of full-time training for so long, I took 2 weeks off from the Brick Lane, from the hod carrying, and but I was in there, and you know what? Because I wasn't full-time training, I felt short.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that. If I was back at Gillingham, I knew I would have been able to compete a lot better.
Of course.
And I think that shows you the difference in the sharpness, the mental sharpness.
Yeah, mental, massive.
A little bit of extra, like it's just touch work with the ball over and over again. And I was in there, and it was just rapid and sharp and quick and strong. And I come away from there, and I kind of knew that was too far. They were obviously Premier League club. So I come back, got playing again, was still with Margate, and I was still playing my games for them, and then Fulham come in for me, and then they made an offer after we'd had obviously the game, and it wasn't the amount the club was looking for again, so they turned it down again. So they'd obviously lost money from the first one because Norwich weren't there anymore. Another club come in, and my dad actually lost his shit. Yeah, he did, and I still talk about it to him now, but again, if that would have happened, I wouldn't be where I am today and doing what I've done. Because the career back then isn't like it is now.
No, it definitely set the money wasn't there, was it?
No,
the money wasn't there.
But the end of that season, so we won the league with Margate that year. That was halfway through the season, and I actually went for £10,000 back to Gravesend and Northfleet.
Oh my God!
So they've
cut.
Yeah.
They spot themselves, haven't they?
Yeah, it was like it was around the Bosman ruling time. And yeah, they missed out. And I loved that club.
Not only have they missed out, you missed out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you hear this a lot about these clubs back then. Even now, money's a big thing in football, but you hear it a lot. You don't hear the players' side too much, do you? Because they're...
No, and it's
cruel.
It is.
Because how hard is it to get in? I mean, the numbers speak for themselves about how you can, trying to be a professional football player. When you get the opportunity to do so, and then the club is then greedy.
Yeah.
Wow, that's hard. For any kid.
I don't know what they would. We'll go on and talk about this later, but I don't know. I can't understand if they never paid anything for me in the first place, and. In my eyes, and something that we do today, is that every player that moves on brings more attraction to that club, because it's
you're in the eye of
professional
media,
clubs and the media,
everything.
And obviously you can get 5 or 10 more great young players that choose to come to you. You might not have the money to pay like other clubs have got, but if you're a developing club and you're a club that can promote success, then what goes around comes around, right?
Of course.
So it was a tough one to swallow. But then I went to Gravesend and Northfleet. I was having a really good semi-professional career. I stayed there for a few years. I got like a Player of the Year, and I was earning good money as well.
Give me 2 seconds of your time. Again, thank you for your help. This really makes a big difference and truly can't be done without you. I've been overwhelmed by the support given so far. Please, if I can ask one thing, is to follow and share. We all know mental health is a massive part in all of our lives, and I know most of you have probably had to deal with it in your own lives. I just wanted to reach out to you, the audience, to make sure we all have a part to play in the following statement. Grief and pain are heavy, and sometimes it feels like you're on your own, but you're not. If you're struggling, please know there are people out there that care and want to listen. Opening up isn't easy, but talking can help. You really matter. Your feelings matter. Reach out, whether it's a friend, a family, or a support line. Let's break the silence around mental health. You're not alone, and together we can get through this. I would also like to add, think about what you say to others, because it can truly have an effect on their well-being. Social media platforms must do better to protect the vulnerability of people's mental health. If you can take anything out of today, please be better. It's nice to be nice. Thank you.
So I because of the success, and I was earning good money for a semi-pro footballer. It would pay my mortgage.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a dream of most kids, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, we all want to be a pro,
Yeah.
but to earn decent money at semi-pro level is
Yeah.
is a dream.
And I obviously worked as well because I
Yeah.
wanted to earn more money. I wanted to have myself set up right, and it wasn't enough to live on and have an amazing lifestyle, just the football money.
No.
So to still go on holidays, you know, you get your window at the end of the season, June time, you go on your holidays. But it allowed us to, like, we bought our first house during that time. It allowed us to go on nice holidays, and it was a nice environment to be in. I grew up with some good footballers and some, you know, like some really inspirational people as well.
Yeah.
So I met.
Network's great,
Ah.
isn't it? The people that you meet, I mean, the amount of people you know just through football,
Yeah.
it's phenomenal. I mean, my girls always comment on it. Dad, you say, you know everyone, and I'm like, it's just football, darling. You know, honestly, we've been in different countries, we've been everywhere, and you always bump into
someone.
It's madness. But
The circles are amazing, aren't they?
I love it, and I think that's why I kept in it for so long. You know, with the managing and all that, is because of that circle.
Yeah, and that
Really-
bond you have with your teammates.
Done it.
Yeah,
and
the banner.
It is friendship as well.
Friendship, togetherness. You can't replicate the dressing room environment.
No, you can't. And like my daughter's always done like gymnastics, so it's a single sport. You know, like I've boxed, and you're in the ring on your own. But when you play football or any team sport, it's the values it brings as well. It's about other people. That's massive in football. I think that teaches kids, you know, that you're part of a team and you have to work together. And I think that helps in business. I think that helps how to treat people. And I've seen, you know, kids be quite cruel in that environment, and you probably see a lot of that. But it's trying to educate them, you know, that you're all one.
It's a family, isn't it?
It's exactly that.
It is
Exactly
a
that's where I was
family.
going.
Yeah, and I think it makes a difference in business. I never really even when I was hod carrying, and I hated being told where I had to be when I had to be there.
Yeah.
They didn't. It was like they demanded it. It wasn't asking us. Like, it wasn't a conversation.
No.
And I mean, I think that might be the building industry back then was a little bit like that.
Yeah,
You're a young person, you get spoke to a certain way, and there wasn't a lot of respect around.
No.
So I think that's something that is all about respecting others, how they feel. You have to obviously have the discipline.
Of course.
I'm all about discipline, even
Yeah.
with the young players today.
It's respect, isn't it?
The respect, and but it goes both ways.
Of course.
And it's really important. So, but yeah, going back to that, like Graves and Norfolk, I then went to Chesham for a year because the manager who I was playing for at Gravesend, he had his own ways, and I was looking to move forward and progress, and obviously to play for people that I wanted to play for then, because I started to get to an age where I was 23, 24. I was a man. I'd been around a lot of good people, and then I've got a lot of people I learnt from. So I'd never say that they was bad for me, because it's like you learn from everyone. I think we've had that conversation a few times.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
So I went to Chesham, and that was for Bob Dowie. And again, I got a call up for the English semi-professional side. I meant to go into Italy, and you know what? They didn't let me and Wayne Andrews and another guy go to the game, because we had a local cup game. It wasn't that important, but again, it was a blocked move, and something that I would have loved to have done.
What an experience.
Yeah, I know. And I knew I was playing well in them times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know when you're playing well, don't you?
You do.
And you've hit a bit of form. And I was only there for a season really, but then Bill Williams and Clive Walker turned up and they was watching a game. And they said, Bill was a general manager at Gills when I was there for the first year. And Clive, I used to live with Clive and Wendy when I was at Diggs in Gillingham, when I was a young'un. So, I mean, going back to that, that's going into Diggs.
That's an experience.
Yeah.
You know, you forget, I mean, you didn't live too far away, but even still, it's foreign, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a complete, like, you know, people looking after you.
Yeah. You have to grow up. You're like, you become independent very quickly.
Yeah. What age was you?
I was 16, 17.
It's a big thing for a 16, 17, isn't it?
It is. I think it's definitely helped with giving me that independence. And I'm very single-minded. Like, you know, I like making my own decisions. So I think that's definitely played a part. But Wendy and Clive were amazing. Clive was obviously out a lot because he was involved in football back then. Very decent level. He was like involved in Northampton. But Wendy was amazing to us, looked after us really, really well, make sure we were fed, got us ready for the early games on a Saturday because we'd play. That league then at Gillingham was like South East counties, Norwich, Arsenal. We come second in that league. Wow. Tottenham, West Ham, Rio Ferdinand, Lampard were all in there.
Big teams.
Yeah, and that's what we knew we were good. We were good players, but team spirit.
Yeah, massive.
We had the team spirit.
Massive.
Still see some of the guys now, and you're like, yeah, I'll never forget them days. The best days, the youth team days.
People don't realise how much team spirit is a must. Like you can have the best players in the world, can't you? But if you've not got that togetherness, it
counts for nothing.
It can absolutely.
You can't do what you do in a team on your own, and that's like the businesses as well. Obviously, you're in it together.
Underdog scenario, you know, and I love an underdog. Me,
yeah,
I'll back an underdog all day long, and it's very similar to that situation. That squad was an underdog, right?
Yeah,
because you're Gillingham.
Yeah,
you know, you've got the likes of Tottenhams and the Arsenals and. They should be winning that, right?
Yeah, and they like Stephen Carr, remember him?
Yeah, I do.
Sol Campbell.
Yeah,
they were all in. They were all in there. There's some fantastic players, and again, like seeing them now and what they've done, especially Rio Ferdinand. He was a Rolls Royce.
Unbelievable.
He played in midfield for West Ham.
Did he?
Yeah, at the time, and I played in midfield, and I was like, and he was a year younger than me, maybe 2, but Frank was the same age, and showed what he did for himself because I felt like. I could easily compete with him at that time, but he stayed on, didn't he? And he grafted. He put the hours in.
He tells that story quite well, and there's a few of them like that.
So disciplined because he wasn't that when I was a first year. He certainly wasn't. But Lee Bowyer was another one. A great player, and I didn't struggle against him whatsoever. But it's right time, right place.
I was about to say there's a lot of people that fall through the net for all different reasons. The game has changed massively. Yeah. I mean, there's more academies, and we'll get onto that. But there's more help than there ever was. You know, if you didn't fit in, I mean, I was one of those lads that didn't fit in. You know, because of my parents' backgrounds, it was a big thing. It was a massive thing, and you know, I found myself sometimes a bit of an outcast not with the players so much. It was more with the manager or certain managers. I played for the district. You know, I played with Mr. Scott.
Yeah, Mr. Scott.
He's still about, to be fair. Yeah, Mr.
Good
Scott,
teacher.
Great teacher, and he was my district manager.
Yeah.
But there's certain managers that either, you know, going into certain teams, your face fits, and if your face don't. And you see that I still see that a little bit now.
It still happens now.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Well, I've managed, and I've never been that manager. If you're good, you play.
Yeah.
If you've got the right attitude, you play. Put them two together, you've got some kind of player.
Winning formula, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so you do see it. I think I was, you know, I'm not naive, but I was never going to be a pro. But you kind of feel like there was opportunities there to be taken, and for whatever reasons, you know, I didn't fit sometimes.
Yeah,
and that's the way it works.
Exactly, and like we're saying, I think that's part of the growth.
It is.
The knockbacks are as important as the successes, right? But yeah, it's so vivid in my head now. Even like talking about it, like playing against them guys. But I don't feel like that. Oh yeah, I should have made it or anything like that because from what I know now, I felt like it then.
Your path was different. I mean, you wouldn't have known it then, but you know, the exact same as myself. You know, you had a lot more opportunities than me, but your path is your path. And
it is, isn't it?
We talk about this a bit at home, but you kind of feel like it's kind of set a little bit. So you know, whatever journey you're taking, it's set there for you. You can change things and modify them, and nothing's a given.
No.
I think that's important to make sure that everyone that's listening is that it needs hard work wherever you do.
Yeah, you have to to maximise your opportunity. You have to get after it.
I agree.
You have to fully immerse yourself in it.
Yeah,
I think, and that's like, yeah. So I'm not. I felt hard done by back then at the time, but now it's part of the journey. And going on from that England opportunity, when Bill and Clive turned up, because they had stopped me from doing that, I just thought, yeah, do you know what? I'm not in the right place. I'm not around the people that are fully in it with me. They offered me a good contract. So I went, and Dover become a really, it's still, I would say it's the best club I ever played for. Yeah, because of the way the people were. There were some tough times there as well, because it was the transition in going to the National South League and the North. Remember, they made it all to that. But I had great times. I've become captain of the club,
which is amazing. And
it was a big club. We had great support there. We played against Oxford United in the FA Cup. We've done really, really well. We had some really great people around me that I still speak to today. I played with a lad called Jamie Day, who was just such a talent. He was at Arsenal with Henry. He come through that sort of era, and he was unbelievable. He's in management now. We're really good friends. Andy Arnott was there with me. I was at Gills with, and had Craig Wilkins. We had some really top players, great in the air. He could play at the back or up front, and we had a real close bond. And obviously, that's where I played at Dover with Tony Brown.
Right.
That's where me and Brownie
become really.
Yeah, well, we'd known each other, but when I signed for Dover, I'd become really close with him, and we would travel up to get to the games together. And this is where, when I was working I was working with Andy Arnott then. I was getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go and work in the city, dry lining.
Yeah.
So, and putting all these boards on. We'd wake up at 4 o'clock. We'd be up there for 5. We'd be in the cafe, and I'd have because I was playing football, I'd have eggs. I was still...
Yeah, of course, looking after yourself.
Yeah, I'd looking after as best I could, because my knowledge wasn't...
I was about to say, we weren't educated then, wasn't we?
No, very different. It was like eggs on toast.
Yeah.
There was no real balance there, but which I began, obviously I'll talk about later. I got older and my life changed. But yeah, then Brownie's come and worked on the site with us as well. And you know when you get them moments where, okay, so we're with each other at football, me and Brownie, we're with each other at work, and we were thinking, fuck this is early, and we'd go and work all day, and then we'd get up in my car or his car, and we'd drive to Dover, we'd train on a Tuesday night, we wouldn't get back till 11 o'clock at night, and that was, obviously that's a big commitment, hard grind.
And then getting up, going to London, it's hard.
Yeah. And I remember Rocky was pregnant with Maddie, and I'd had enough of doing what I was doing and getting up so early, and I started to feel fatigued, even though I was playing well at the weekends and everything like that. I started to have half an eye on, okay, I'm 27, 26, 27. I've got a kid on the way now, and I went to work with Brownie one day. And I said, should we do something together? Should we set up a football academy? And we both were speaking about doing it, because he'd worked in football before out in the States.
Yeah.
And he was like, let's do it. We had no business plan. We had no business background. I was crap at school. I didn't finish with very many GCSEs or whatever they called them back then. Do you know what I was at the site one day, and Brownie was off that day, and I went to the site and I told the guy I was working for, I said, I'm gonna be stopping this soon. I'm setting up my own football academy. And he laughed. He virtually laughed at me. And he said, you'll never make a fucking living coaching football to kids. And I was like, do you know what? I had before I had kids, I had my Audi TT.
Yeah.
Remember them?
I remember it.
Yeah, you remember it?
Yeah,
little black one.
Yeah.
And I was luckily, I was going to football that night, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to turn it in now. Off we went, and 2 weeks later, we'd set up, bought a load of balls, and I'd approached my PE teacher at school. So he was the one. His name was Guy Hewitt. But it shows you, well, obviously, we're talking about moments in your life. That PE teacher was then the headmaster of the school. And I approached him, I said, look, yeah.
So it all falls in?
It does. So I obviously got on well with him at school because I was a PE and he loved me. He knew I was all over the PE. I went back and spoke to him and I said, we're going to set up a football academy. We want to run it from this school. And he said, you can have this, you don't have to pay for the site. You don't have to pay for the pitches. It was only grass, obviously. And what we've got to do now. And me and Brownie turned up. 2 weeks later, we bought 16 balls. They were red England balls, right? Because I remember the photo. But we were so buzzing because we had 15 people turn up to our session. It was £3 a session, all right? They were paying, and the lady who actually helped set us up, she worked for the FA, and we got speaking to her. Her name was Val Hadji Alexandru, and she still messages me today. And we bought a van, and we had all of our gear in the back of the van. We had to make the samba goals up from scratch, like nets off all the way back, pack them in this little van. We had all our pitches set up, the cones were out. Something that I always like looking good. I think feel good, play good.
Yeah.
Right? Today, we were talking about our clothes earlier. Yeah. But yeah, it's the way you turn up, the way you show up. People can respect you just for the first, the first impression. I think that's really important.
It really is.
The pitches were beautiful. We was on a lovely grassy bit of the pitch. Nice. We didn't sit up on the football pitch because that's where all the grass goes, doesn't it? So we off the pitch, set the goals up, made it look nice. All the bibs were beautiful. She got us some really nice FA bibs. They were McDonald's ones.
Were they?
Crazy, yeah. But we had it all set up, and do you know what? We had 15 people turn up, and we were so excited.
I bet.
We were like, and then at the end of the session, we went, take your ball home. They all took their balls, so we had to go and reinvest in another. We actually went and bought another 20 balls. And
that session probably cost you money.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it did for a long time. We didn't make money for a long time because after the headmaster guy come and watched us, and this is the crazy part, he watched us do the session. He said, I really feel like there's a place for you in this school. So although we coach in the evening, he gave us a job to work with it's like social inclusion, the kids who wasn't performing so much in the school. And we got full-time jobs in that school, and we was working with underprivileged kids. We was working with kids who couldn't concentrate and was falling away in their lessons. And they was dangling the carrot of the football as the vehicle for them as the prize. And it was a good way for us to recruit as well. The kids were coming from the schools. The parents were coming along. Each session was like doubling. So we had to go from a Monday, only running Monday double session, to a Monday and a Wednesday, to a Monday, a Wednesday and a Friday. And quickly we identified that we couldn't play players with each other because they weren't at the same level. So and some were struggling and some were thriving, but the ones who were making bad decisions, who were really good players, because they weren't at the same level. But we broke it up a little bit. Me and Brownie would coach different groups. And then we would bring someone in, Charlie Belcher, come and coach. Yeah. John Wallace, who's my sister's husband now. Andy Cross. Andy Cross was coming to work with us. My brother. And these guys Mark Lovell, these would all come in and do sessions now and again. Charlie was working for us. And we grew so quickly. And we were working for about a year and a bit in that school while we was developing and growing. But before we got to the end of that summer, it obviously goes to the winter, and there was no floodlights back then. So me and Brownie were like, shit, what are we going to do? We ain't got no light. And we was thinking, we're going to go in the school hall. We can't get them all in there. So we went and bought 18 portable floodlights with the big batteries.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
We walked them. We would walk them around the pitch at night, and it was getting cold. They would ice up, and you wouldn't be able to get them down. I nearly chopped my finger off on one of them. But it was that type of thing that made us what we are today. It is like we would go to the furthest part of the pitch. We bought a bigger van so we could get everything in. Charlie Belcher was the one who started taping the samba goals up together so the stanchion was just sliding the goal. Fair play, Charlie.
Yeah, well done.
Little shout out to him. His business is doing great as well.
Is it?
Yeah, him and Loves. Mark Lovell.
He's fire alarms, isn't he? Yeah. I used to give him a bit of work, a little bit of work here or there back in the day.
Doing very well.
Yeah, I haven't spoken to him for a while.
Very clued up.
Yeah, he's a good lad.
Good friends of ours, but played a big part in just them little tweaks that would make it half an hour off our set up and close. So we started moving around the pitches and this is where the real work comes in. And
no one sees it.
No.
They don't see that. And I think everyone that I've brought in and spoken to is that itself is no one sees the start. No one sees this. No one sees how we got the cameras in and how we struggled, and no one sees that. No one sees how you did, build your business from the ground up. No one sees that.
Do you know what? It's the best memories.
Do you know what? I'd definitely say some of the best memories I've ever had was starting.
Yeah.
Funny.
I remember Brownie, we'd be so far away on the back part of this big school field, and the van would be down the other end. We're carrying these batteries back, and we're using it as part of our training session. We're doing shrugs. We're walking back with them. We're doing lunges. We were spring chickens then, like 27 years old, and that would be our training because we wasn't working on the building side. That would be our extra gym work, and we would go back and then we would bring the last light you'd turn off. It'd end up in pitch black. It would be cracking. We didn't have all the lights on your phone. I don't think. Well, we might have done, but I don't remember.
The Nokia.
Yeah, Motorola, whatever it was, the Samsung little flip.
That's it. It could have been any of them.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah.
Long ago. God. The young ones listening would be like, what?
Nokias. What are they?
So we got that was how it really was. All the equipment, all the cones, all the mannequins, all the poles. We still made the effort to get it all out, even though it was like a massive walk, because like the effort we put in paid off in the players that we used to attract and bring in, and the environment we created. So for me, that's like the magic of where it all happened. And me and Brownie we knew where we was going.
Yeah, fixated,
we were so
driven.
Focused, driven.
That's it.
And the money weren't massive money to start with, because like even though we weren't having paying for facilities, but we quickly realised that to scale this and to grow this and to actually make this a career for us, we had to look different. And the Mapleston Noakes had built a 3G pitch with the floodlights.
Yep.
And it was actually Scott Chalmers-Stevens, who runs Pro Soccer now. He made a contact with them, and we got into the school and we started there, and we could build so much quicker, and we had so much more room. We had a lock-up, and we was good at what we done. Scott would run the goalkeepers with Dean Ruddy. I then had Craig Smith, who's Scott's partner at Pro Soccer now. We would be out on the field, me, Brownie, Craig, and other coaches, Josh Stanford, and we'll talk about him later on. Lee Radford, the biggest shout out to Lee Radford, who's still with me now, 18 years.
Love that.
He knows everything about our company, and without him, we wouldn't be what we are. We wouldn't be where we are. So the people that come in, he didn't want to went and set up their own business off the back of that. And there was moments in there that I felt a bit aggrieved about it.
Yeah.
About the way they went about it in some ways, because I was really close with him.
Was you?
Yeah, and I think that was the part that hurt me, because I'm the people person.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you do find that in business is that you do get hurt on the way, and like you're very similar to me. I'm all about people, so I don't think everyone works the same.
No,
I wish they did. It would be a lot easier, but you put a lot of faith in, and when someone does something that you go, why didn't you just come to me, or why didn't you just talk to me, sit me down, have these conversations with me? So it's like a family, like very similar to what you're saying. You have a family. And then you'll get that one that goes for an interview and behind your back, and you go, just come and talk to me. Tell me what's up, and we can try to work this out. I mean, even if you want to leave at the end of this conversation, I kind of give you my approval to sit there and say, yeah, go do it. Because I'll never hold anyone back. Like throughout everything I've ever done, the only reason I started doing what I did, because no one held me back.
Yeah.
But I was up front, and I just wish people would have that relationship with everyone, that would have enough about, especially myself, come to me and go, look, Paul, I'm thinking about leaving because of X, Y, Z. And if I can't do anything about that X, Y, Z, then I'd shake their hand and say, look, I wish you all the best. And I think that's the way, I think anyone can take any advice and listening to this. That's the way business should be done.
And I think, it's a good talking point, because them two lads, I look at it, obviously I was upset, disappointed then. I've done a lot of personal development and growth, like from that point. I was angry, I was and the way I thought about it. But everyone, like, they was only doing what I was wanting to do.
Yeah, of course.
They were just wanting to do it themselves. They knew each other before they knew me anyway. You know, I took them to Marbella, and we had great trips together and everything like that. So it wasn't anything to do with what we were doing. It's that they just wanted to do their own thing, and that's fine. But I look back now, and even them doing that, it's made me even stronger, because I like competition.
Yeah, of course.
And I would never hold anyone. That's just what we're about now. We want people. We've got people in our academy. We've got 2 of the players that have got their own academy that are doing very well as well. One of them I speak to a lot, and he takes advice from me. Brilliant. And the other one is just like really rude, and it's disappointing. Different person, completely different person. And I think he feels like even though he learnt from us, he feels like he's in competition. But the other one, who's thriving as well, is like we speak to each other all the time. We have friendlies. Yeah, but the competition back then was exactly what I needed. It was what took me to the next level, and I think I've got no worries about it now. I don't hold on to shit. There's no point, because, like we say, everything is happening for a reason.
I agree.
Helps the growth.
Does help the growth. I think from my side of it is that I've always been honest. That's the best way to be. I think you can't expect everyone to be on the same values that you have, and I think that's something that I've learned from my own journeys. Is especially when I go back into business, I'll take that value and learn from not worrying about too much, and trying to not put everyone in the same, as I am.
Yeah,
I think it's hard for me, because I've been brought up that way. But I've got that's one thing I say in business that I've got to be better at. Don't treat everyone with my same values.
No, and exactly, because that's what makes the world.
It is, but
so interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
Everyone's different, aren't they? Everyone looking for a different thing. Some, like mine, I like money. Like, don't get me wrong, I like having nice things.
Yeah.
All right, and especially when you earn it. But it's not the first thing for me. Doing what you love. But just going back to that, I think that, and talking about money and the direct debit. So the direct debit come through. We was always termly or monthly payments.
Yeah.
The direct debit happened when we went to Mapleston. We had a 3G pitch, and it snowed. So we had snow, and Scott was still working with us then, and Craig. We was all out on the pitch with these. So we imagine 3-4 inches of snow on a football pitch, and trying to clear that by hand, right? We spent 5 hours there. Dean Ruddy, me, Brownie, Craig, Scott, and a few other people come and helped us. Lee Radford. There was a few. Anyway, we was trying to. And we didn't even clear the 18-yard box, and we were there 5 hours, and we had a session that night. And so we had to cancel the session, right? And we haven't got the WhatsApps and stuff like we had now. It wasn't like bang, group message. It was an email, and then we knew we had to go and wait at the venue, because emails don't always hit, do they? And communication's obviously one of the hardest things in business, to communicate with your own people. But that's where the direct debit was born from us, and that's how we started to be able to forecast and to be able to learn about our business, and to be able to have much more structure, to be able to go and bring more people in, more staff, and again, to scale. Because during that time we had that snow, me and Brownie went back to the office, and we said, we need to know that even though we're not working, we still got to get paid, because we're providing these kids a service. And just because they don't, even if they don't turn up, and they don't pay, we're still there, and we're hiring the venue.
Yeah.
So when they pay as they play, we weren't getting paid, and we learned very quickly. So we lost a lot of money during that first couple. That was a learning process about when 3 or 4 people had a game somewhere else and they didn't turn up, and then you'd only have reduced amount of numbers, but we're still putting the same effort. You're still paying for the pitch. We didn't have the revenue coming.
You're seeing that a lot more now in business now, subscriptions, and I think that's any advice again. Is you had to find out the hard way. Yeah, but it was
huge.
I think that's, again, people won't ever see that learning curve. They'll just see.
No, they think it just happened.
Yeah,
we wasn't that way inclined. No. We are now, because we've learned and we've been around.
No one's taught you.
No,
right? No one sat down and gave you this business advice and sat there and said, "Right, Lee, this is how you set up a business. This is what you do. You just did it."
Yeah,
yeah. And there's a lot of people that we interview are exactly the same.
Yeah,
Ben, who we interviewed last, the logistics business, I said, "What was your plan?" And it was exactly the same. Didn't have a plan.
No, because sometimes you have to, like you hear it now, you just got to start. And if you don't start, you do too much thinking about it, that never happens. Like you with this, if you'd have kept thinking, but you just got to get going, and you learn along the way.
And I think anyone that's got the work ethic and the idea, put them two together, it shouldn't fail.
No.
You just got to persevere, keep going. Difficult times, you could tell 1,000 stories of difficult times, right?
Yeah. And this, do you know what? People buy people. So we've had some really good sponsors along the way, like Johnny Andelo at Express Taxis. Ellis, he was our second pro, his son. But he wouldn't get out of the car at their first session when he come to a soccer school, and that was at the school. But we could see he was struggling because we like dealing with people. We went and Colette brought him, and we remember getting him out. We still talk about that to Ellis now. I think he's 28 or 29 now. He plays for Colchester United. Another really, really talented boy. Yeah. But John sponsored us at the beginning, made things easier and give us some good publicity through. We had a big board up at St Peter's Street as you go up towards I remember the big taxi rank? Huge advertisement along with his company name, and he put us on it.
Fair play.
And it was, massive. So massive, like, shout out to him and what he's done for us. And then another one was Robin Stanton-Gleaves, who owns Bromley now. His sons would come along, and he was Bell Reed back then, and he's such a successful guy.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, I went there the other day.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
And they're potentially going up again this year.
I know, and Bromley. They're buzzing. They put something on social media the other day, and they're flying.
Yeah.
And I love it. Success stories like that. Yeah, my daughter played there the other day, and yeah, phenomenal, considering what it was like when back in the day.
Oh, and do you know what? Being around, it wasn't just the sponsor, we'd be around them people.
Yeah.
So, like, I remember going to Robin's offices as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's something to take out of from here for anyone who's setting up their business or not been all around, but get around the people. Get around the people who are doing it and been there and done it, or that you can resonate with. Because I learned so much.
Surround yourself with successful people.
Yeah, it can be daunting sometimes to ask if you can be around it and just be in meetings with them. We done some meetings because we was looking to get Maidstone United together as a group. It didn't work out because it wasn't right. And again, like, it leads to other things. Cobdown was another one with them guys. We spent a lot of time. Like, we would have loved to build the venue.
Great facility.
Facility, yeah. But yeah, they was a big part of that along the way, and then obviously the direct debit going back to that. It's where it really made our business step up, and we could make better decisions. I actually felt more like that we'd become a real business once we put the direct debit in place. Yeah. We had another group of people at the South Coast chiropractors. They let us have our office up there in the top room, so we had the whole of the top floor. They were friends of ours, and they used to sort our injuries out and what have you. But Jesper and Charlotte, who are amazing people, they could see what we were doing. They sponsored as well, and the sponsor was kind of giving us the office and a great place to develop and grow a business, because we started to get too big. We had people who needed to work in workstations.
Well, it's the cash flow then, because that direct debit gives you cash flow, doesn't it?
That's it. And without that, I was naive to start. I didn't watch them. It was all about just the coaching. But unless you earn the money, unless you can pay the bills, the pitch fees, the coaches, the equipment, and obviously to manage tax. And I don't think that they don't teach us that at school. I didn't know anything about it.
They'll teach you RE, but they won't teach you tax.
Exactly. I know. There's loads of things that we will get given at schools, and even now, you just think, wow. They could do with a little bit of life skills here. But yeah, that was an area, and we got stuck. A few times we got stuck, and I needed to make some payments and everything like that, but we needed to fill a soccer school up quick because we knew we could get money up front because we had bills to pay. So we had to go and get 6 weeks work of soccer schools sold at the front end of the summer. So we'd have had money to be able to pay everyone and pay the tax. First time the VAT come in for us.
That's scary.
But you know what? We did it.
Yeah.
150 kids per soccer school per week, all right? And the money coming up front, and this was before the direct debit. So it was all the learnings, it's all stuff like that. But because we knew we had to go and do it, we got the flyers printed, Me and Brownie were trudging the streets, getting them out everywhere, going to Moat Park, going to all the parks, going to all the, like, wherever kids were and parents were with their cars, we'd put them under windscreens, and we made an investment into, I think it was like 30,000 flyers, old school, but do you know what? We bought it back now. So we went out and we done that, and the direct debit was everything to us, and that's where we started to international tours, like taking 300-400 people on tour,
which is amazing.
Incredible. What you know, and what tours are like.
And you play in some big events, don't you?
Barcelona, we won out there a few times, and we were successul. We played against Barcelona Academy, and Inter Milan. We went to Milan, we went to Rome. I took the scholars to Rome, and we won out there. That was a really good experience, and that's sort of where the Rome time is sort of where there was a big transition in our business. So I was potentially looking to. It was actually My Soccer Coach app.
Okay.
So we'd bought that in first, and I think that's a big point to talk about.
Yeah.
Scott Lindsay was working with me. He wanted to do a coaching app because he wanted to showcase. He was an unbelievable coach then, and he's an even better one now. Yeah. Great promotions with Crawley and
unbelievable what he's done.
Yeah,
love it.
Really good. He actually took Ellis to Swindon. We played. Scott was working for Swindon at the time, and he took Ellis after Ellis scored 3 goals and set up 1. And we played Swindon in a like a scholars fixture, and we beat them. And within 2 weeks, Ellis, after being told he was too small from a club, was signed, and he's 6'2" now, something. But I think that the app again was it was called My Soccer Coach app.
Yeah, that's so advanced though as well.
Yeah.
When you think
a long time ago.
How many years ago was that? What was it 89?
So we wanted to. The reason we brought it in, Scott's idea was he wanted to get his coaching out there, and he wanted to showcase himself. Great. We wanted to educate our coaches because we'd got 30 coaches working for us, and you know, it's like you want to be the army. You're only as good as your worst coach.
I agree.
So we needed to make sure the character, the energy, the delivery, but we also used it as a platform to be able to showcase ourselves. It was all CIFA branded, but it's called My Soccer Coach. It cost a lot of money to do. We had all the rigs, you know, like the proper
everything.
The cameras that were on.
The cameras that followed.
Yeah, mad. Drones.
Yeah.
Mics. The mics were different. We had to have all like constantly changing batteries over, and it was a big setup. We used the Swadeland School. We had loads of advertising done around the outside, so we made sure it was promoted right. It was 60 film drills. It was goalkeeper sessions with Dean Ruddy. Gary Rose would do the S&C, like strength and conditioning, or the warm up, the cool down. Me, Brownie, and Scott would deliver the sessions, and it went to we released it. And it went to #1 in the App Store within the first week.
Wow!
We were absolutely buzzing.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of our money back to start with. But back then, you know, when they upgrade the iOS, we was having to pay a fortune to upgrade the software in the app, and it wasn't sustainable for us. We didn't know any of this.
No.
But what it did serve, it opened us up to new opportunities. But when I started CIFA, I actually went back and worked for Chelsea. Mason Mount, Reece James, Declan Rice, all in my squad, because we were earmarked to
some squad.
Yeah, they could see that Chelsea had seen we were decent coaches. We'd played Crystal Palace in a game and lost 16-1. Ellis scored the goal, funny enough, 10 years old. And Brad Cummins, the goalkeeper who let 16 in, but probably saved about 50, was signed by Crystal Palace.
So you went back into Chelsea at what under what age?
I went from under 10s, and they were unbelievable. And I worked for 2 years with Reece James, Mason Mount. And it was one of the reasons I actually left Chelsea is when they released Declan, or they didn't listen to us. And he was an absolute player even then, but he wasn't as forward thinking. But you could tell that these kids were going to be good. I've got a photo of them in the dome actually, and they're with one of the pros, but they're all gathered round. Mason Mount would bang free kicks in.
Really?
But Reece James would play centre mid and just chew the ground up. He would play next to Declan Rice, and
you could see it.
You could see it, yeah.
Yeah.
But we knew that we had something. I don't want to blow smoke up mine and Brownie's arse or go big time about it, but we knew we was good at what we done. We could sense the environment. We know what needed to be delivered. we made the sessions fun but educational at the same time, and it was game relevant.
I think from the outside looking in, your academy is like a pro academy. Well, it is a pro academy, but it looks like a pro club. That's the right thing to say. The equipment's right, the way they're set up, everything you do looks like a pro club. The way you treat your lads, the way you treat the kids, looks.
That makes me feel emotional, because that's only what I ever wanted to create.
And you've created it, and I see it on a regular basis. I follow you on every social media, and I've watched your kids play. I've even had a couple of kids play for me, and they come in with the best attitudes, and there's never a bad word. You know, that they appreciate.
Give me 2 seconds of your time. I just want to say again a massive thank you. Please listen to this message. It's really important to me, and I know it affects so many people. Thank you. My experience with ADHD is real, and it's affecting thousands of children across the UK every day. But too often our schools overlook the signs, labelling kids destructive, lazy or unmotivated. The truth, these students aren't failing, the system's failing them. We need to be vigilant. Teachers, parents and leaders must recognise the signs, offer support and fight for every child's right to learn in a way that works for them. Because when the schools ignore ADHD, we're not just letting the kids down, we're holding them back. Let's do better.
Obviously what you've done for them as well, and I think with everything I look at as an academy, you go, yeah, you're spot on.
Yeah,
you know, you're spot
that means
on.
a lot.
Yeah, well, you've created that, and I think what you're saying is that's what you were trying to do.
Yeah.
Well, you've succeeded. You've massively succeeded.
We're still going. We've got,
of course,
ever evolving. I think grow or die.
Yeah, agree. I think that's a big lesson.
Try and stay ahead of the curve. But yeah, I appreciate that. No. That means a lot, because it's what we always want, and that I love being in control.
Yeah, you're a perfectionist.
But I have to hand the baton.
Yeah, you're a perfectionist. What you do is you're always good at. And I think that comes across in your business.
Standards are always high, and I think the staff and the team, I don't like to because there is an element of staff, but we were a team. Everyone's pulls in the same way, and the ones who don't tend to stick around too long. No. And that's not right or wrong from either side. It's just how it is. But yeah, as we moved through that from the My Soccer Coach, we got some great exposure. We wanted to grow. The scholarships come into place, and the scholarships they're sort of the pinnacle of where we're at. The kids get a pathway into play every day and be educated. Yeah, we had Swadelands and Maplestone. Swadelands, the group at Swadelands, CEFA scholarship, they had Giorgio Russo, Alessia's. So Alessia was one of our players, and she was with us from 8 or 9 years old.
Played for England.
Yeah, real talent.
I mean, if people don't know who she is, she's played for England. She's
at Arsenal now. We actually moved her from Charlton to Chelsea because we had the connection with Chelsea.
Yeah,
she was amazing. Like you could played with the elite group of boys all the way through, but she was a special talent, and she still comes back and works with me now. Does one-to-ones, and I love that. Yeah. And she's just the same person.
Yeah.
But that scholarship group that we took to. We had a Swadelands there. He had Kane Woolery, who was our first pro signing. He went to Tamworth because Scott was assistant manager there. Scott moved on and started to get some decent jobs. Then he got signed by Bolton Wanderers, a huge deal. And then he played for Swindon and Scott, Forest Green. I watched him score a hat-trick at Wembley.
Wow.
Yeah, like emotional. And I took my son to watch that happen. That first group, they beat the Gordon Strachan Academy at Bristol City in the National Cup. They were good. Some good players come out of there. But then we opened the one at Maplestone, so we've got 2 scholarships running. Education in like the morning, and then they train in the afternoons.
So schooling in the morning, and then go out.
Yeah, this is a partnership we have with the schools, and it's been really successful. It's allowed us to treat them like a professional player. Yeah. So they get the GPS pods, they get the nutrition, and just talking of nutrition, the My Soccer Coach app, how that actually all happened, and this is where life started to change very drastically. When I went to get that set up, I obviously needed I was meeting some people to set this up, and Rocky was working at Doodar's
in
Maidstone, and they had just had a app built for their salon. And I obviously said to her that we need to build an app. And she said, oh, I know someone who knows someone who's done one for us. She said, should I get them to sort you out their number? And this is how life changes with the meetings and the people you come across. And this is why I love networking, because the guy who turned up to meet me, his name was Matthew Barraclough. So he was the one who was going to build our app and do all the tech side of it. And Matt turned up, and I soon realised he weren't going to be able to build the app. He didn't have that level of ability, and he won't mind me saying that now. But what he did have, he definitely changed our lives in regards to like a financial position and a health position, because he was the one who introduced me to Herbalife.
And that was a big sliding door, wasn't it? It was a massive moment for you.
Yeah.
Really, like massive for you and your brother, really.
Yeah, and Dan, when he come in and met me, he was like, all right, so we established you weren't going to be able to do it. We sat there chatting. He said, all right, I'll tell you what, it might be of interest to you. We've just released some sports products, and the reason it was Herbalife 24, so like trusted by informed sport, which is important. He said, you might want to try it. He said, I see you like going to the gym. And I was a gym goer, but I didn't have a body that I was actually like. I still was a little bit,
football,
and I was still doing the same things. High carb diet. Wasn't very educated. Although I was learning more, I didn't have the body that I have today, and that's like 14 years later. And I feel better in myself, feel younger. And he said, anyway, I said, I'll have a look at it. But I think his point of view was he realised that I had over probably back then 500 kids in the academy. Even that's 500 dads, 500 mums. He could see it as a networking angle. And I said, look, I'm really interested. I'd love to try the products. He said, well, you can get them off me, or you can become a discount client and become a member and get like 25% off the products. I was like, yeah, I'll go for that. He said, there's opportunity to earn some extra money along the way too. I said, well, forget about that. Let's just look at what we got. And David Beckham and Lionel Messi was obviously the faces of it then. Beckham was at Galaxy using the products, and Messi was one of the guys that was using the sports range. I thought, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to go for it. It was 99 quid. I signed up there and then. And I started using, and I'm all about whole foods, by the way. I love healthy whole foods, but I was missing gaps because I was working all day and I weren't snacking properly, and I wasn't doing the right things. No. I wasn't hydrating myself, and there was a beautiful, like a tea and aloe. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I do.
The tea and aloe. And I just swapped out like lattes for green teas, and I swapped out my croissant or my bacon roll in the morning for like a protein smoothie. It was that simple. And then I chucked some protein bars in along the way, and I had still had all my chicken and rice and my veg and stuff like that, but I didn't know the benefits of it. And a month later, I started to see my abs come back. And obviously, I've retired from playing football at 31, which was it wasn't such a big thing as what I thought it was going to be, because I'd obviously got soccer elite and I'd found my passion. I was getting my fix, but it was a massive point in my life. But this coaching app brought all of that, and then Matt brought all of this.
It's mad, isn't it? How it's opened doors. But, you know, the app's not about no more, is it?
No. It's still on YouTube and stuff like that. And we use it internally, and something that we're going to build on. But no, it's not. So it was.
But look what it did. It got your door open. Yeah. And then you went to Herbalife.
Yeah.
And obviously, you was telling me the story about that the other day, about how you signed up.
Yeah. So I can't even believe how it all happened, because I signed up, and within a month, there was a product called Rebuild Strength, right? And it was like a post-workout, and I'd never used a post-workout really. No. But I started to learn and educate, and they had a really good, like, a sort of nutritionist called John Heiss, who now works with Ronaldo, who developed a product with Ronaldo, with like electrolytes and stuff. And I was listening to some of his videos. I was thinking, I just need to do that. I just need to do that, because I love training. You know, I was always trained. I was always one to look after my body, but I didn't have the defined look that I actually really wanted. All right, because I had it when I was playing. But I think this is a big thing for me. Like, standards of looking after your own body, like, and yourself. Like, it's a personal respect to yourself, and I don't think that you can be as productive
No.
Right? You don't have to have abs and guns and everything like that. But I think being overweight is detrimental. I can go and buy houses, and I've started to hear that a lot. Yeah, you get one place to live. Yeah, and that's mentally too. So I felt better, I had more energy, and I was walking through the office. We had new offices then back in East Farley, not far from here. And I bowled through the office and I was lifting my top up, showing the boys my abs, because they started to pop again. And then some of the guys started using the products with me, and they was implementing. We had a breakfast club going, and Matt said to me, he said, "Look, he come a month later, he said, Spills, what's going on?" He said, and I didn't know what the business. He said, "You've become a supervisor. You've got 50% off the products." He said, I was like, "What? I didn't get it." I said, because I didn't
know what a supervisor was. Right?
No, and I don't want to be a supervisor.
Yeah.
I'm boss. I'm the gaffer, mate. But I didn't really understand it. And then he showed me, and he said, "Is there anyone else like you that you know that would benefit from this and could work with a network?" And because I started using the rebuild strength for my scholars, like the 18-year-olds, and their performances were going through the roof. They were looking stronger. They were looking fitter, and it was all starting to click for me.
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, my brother plays a bit of football," and he went, "Okay, let's get a meeting," and that's when everything. And
it massively changed.
Yeah.
Massively
It made
changed.
I feel emotional, but
you should, because I think of people that don't understand is that, especially your brother's story is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And you opened that door for that.
Yeah, he was coming to the end of his career.
He's at Luton.
Luton, yeah. But do you know what? The money was still okay then for football. But he didn't want to be a football coach with me. He said that that's not his thing. He wanted to do. He was actually selling pants on eBay and stuff like that. And he was making decent money. Yeah. Remember the Calvin Kleins?
I do, yeah.
But do you know what, Paul? He took this to a new level.
Yeah.
He looked after, and he found a purpose himself. He liked making other people look better. And don't get me wrong, Dan's an entrepreneur now, and he wasn't then, but he always wanted to earn money. And he saw the opportunity and the gap as well at the same time, as well as helping people. And I was running fit clubs at my academy, so the parents were taking their kids and playing football, and then we was running a fit camp after, and then we was inviting them to Dan's or to a meeting in the village, and then we were talking about the products and the opportunity just to earn an extra 100 quid a month, 500 quid a month, whatever they wanted to do. And that quickly took off.
Yeah.
It made me more professional because I fell into people like Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, personal development. I started to be able to carry myself a lot better. Dan was speaking on stage in front of tens of thousands.
Yeah, I've seen them. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's like arenas, isn't it?
It is,
unbelievable.
And he become a different person, like in confidence with, because as a footballer, I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying, it was babysat. Everything was given to him. And although he's a clever boy, you didn't really know what his potential could have been then. You knew his potential on the pitch, and he was a great player. Played in the Championship, won Young Player of the Year, scored some unbelievable goals in the Champ as well.
Would have gone to West Ham as well, wouldn't he?
Yeah, another move that didn't quite happen, or too much money asked. But again, pathway. I think if he'd have gone to West Ham, he still wouldn't have been in the position he is today. It set him up for his life, but he's created that. He created people's trust, the way he worked with people. I mean, you know him.
Yeah, I know him. Well. He's a gentleman.
He is.
And the way he comes across I've sat in rooms with him when he's talking, and unbelievable. You know, you can see how passionate he is, and he tells a story about him not watching TV and cutting the plugs off, and those stories that you hear, and how he was dedicated. And then he starts listening to audiobooks, reading books, and fixated on succeeding. Yeah. And I got my own story with him when he first ever said it. I told you this the other day when I met him in the village hotel, and he had the white Audi A4. Yep. And he said, I'm struggling, and I've got this product. I don't know too much about it, but I know enough about it, and opened it up and I bought it off him, and I paid. It was near £100.
He definitely charged you full price.
Yeah, he did. No discount whatsoever. To be fair, I didn't know what I was taking, and to be fair, I took it for 2.5 years, non-stop, religiously. my football, everything enhanced me. But the conversation was him. He'd just been let go by Luton, and he was going to give the car back. You know, he said to me, "I'm struggling," and if you fast forward now to where he is now, it's phenomenal. And you know, I mean this, and I texted him the other day, to be fair, and I said to him about, you should be proud of what he's achieved. And you know, I'm a what's the right word of saying is a believer. I think I'm a believer. What he's achieved is unbelievable. And yeah, I think a shout out to him to say how just well done.
Yeah, animal. When I now talk on stage and I talk about his story and what he's done and what he's provided us as a family as well, because without him, it would have just been a product that I didn't really, like, I wouldn't have been able to drive it like he does. Although I'm heavily involved now.
Yeah, you was really fixated on the football, on the academy.
And we that was the way we worked.
Your passion.
Like I would, and you know what, when we would run the meetings for people to come into, I knew my role. Yeah. Like I was going to serve the teas, I was going to greet people, I'm good at that. You know? Dan would stand up there and he would talk about the story, he would talk about nutrition, we would talk about, like, and that's what people sometimes forget, is that we also educate ourselves along the way with it. I work with the product committee for the whole of like Europe now, helping devise new products, and because we're striving to have the best. Obviously there's a product for the everyday person, but top shelf health is there as well. And I think that's where we were going with it. Gradually, we started to understand how the body works. And I think that's really important, like going back to looking after yourself, to be the most productive person. And I want to be a good role model for my kids. You know what I mean? I'm 47 now, and like I honestly say I wear my Whoop and it tells me I'm about 10 years younger, which is great.
Which is great.
It might be wrong, but
yeah, listen. But, no, let's not go there.
I'll take it. And,
yeah, I agree.
But it's all about them things as well.
It is.
I'm passionate about the way I wake up in the morning, my ice bath, like my workout, my sauna, the way I break my fast.
Yeah.
And we was talking about the other day. Sometimes I walk in the gym freezing because I've come out of an ice bath. But you know what? Yeah, I hate it, but it works. It works for me.
Exactly that.
And it doesn't have to be one size fits all, does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I think that's whatever works for you, and I think that's massive. Looking after your body, I think that should work for everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone should. I think they take their body for granted. We all see it. You know, I can eat that, I'll do that. But as you get older, it's not forgiving, is it?
No, of course not. And I think that, I mean, I'm definitely not preaching to anyone. And I watched, and with the people we've worked with, over like the thousands of people that we've worked with, and they've improved the way they feel and longevity. I think that's what it's all about.
The brand works, the product works.
Yeah.
But, you know, you got some serious players taking this.
Yeah.
You know, look at the Olympic team.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the Olympic teams were taking it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's it's impressive. It's impressive.
And it's not just do you know what? It's not even just that. It's what it's led to me to like educate and learn. Like it's what I eat on a daily basis. Like the places where I want to go and visit, where I walk. Like, you know, like people see it's mad, but the grounding, walking on the grass, like getting some decent connection, like having a human connection. That's part of like staying healthy. Like we have great chats, and we're always in the gym, and we end up having a lesser workout probably, but I think it's really important that the healthier you are, the more you do want to talk to people.
It is. But the Herbalife brand is a family as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a big family.
Yeah, and you've got the corporate side with the corporate people. And the staff and everyone like that. They look after us. They really do. They go over and above. And like we're independent. It's down to us. All right. The people we bring in, if we don't help them, we won't benefit.
You don't succeed.
No, that is just the way it is. And I think that's why we did educate ourselves. I'm skeptical about anything in life because until you actually understand it and learn it and
well, how are you going to know?
Get around it, and like we said about earlier, immerse yourself into it. And again, it's a passion. Like I'm passionate about how I feel and how I want to look, how I want to come across.
I think if anyone goes in there going, well, I want to make money, is probably the wrong business for them.
They're not. They won't be working with us.
It won't be exactly that. You have to look after yourself first.
Yeah.
You have to understand the product. You have to understand what makes the business.
Yeah.
You know? And like you just said, is that you feel passionate about looking after yourself. And I've seen you in the gym, and you're relentless. So you're in there all the time. You have your step-by-step processes in the mornings, your ice baths, so all that works for you. But I think when you're sitting there telling somebody to take something or do something, it's like a financial advisor. If the financial advisor is not taking their own advice, right, and they've got no money, I certainly ain't going to be listening to that financial advisor.
You can't pitch something else, right?
You can't.
No. Like, self-care is your healthcare. We said something that we talk about a lot to our groups, and even when I was playing football, they say you are what you eat. So but there was, like I say, that everyone's lifestyles can be different. Like they don't have to go to the extremes, but it's just like daily movement. I think you can't think your way out of a bad mood.
No.
Can you?
No, you can't.
But you can move your way out of it.
Yeah, I mean the gym helps me.
Yeah.
It's good if I don't go to the gym, I'm a different person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really am. And same as football,
Yeah.
That was the same thing. Any running or anything that keeps me moving, my brain works differently.
And I think that's what it is. It's not just gym, it's movement. No. Any type of movement, even just getting out to walk up the stairs if you're not, if you take the stairs sometimes. But yeah, it's like, it's something that I'm passionate about. And like I say, forever grateful to my brother. And we're in a position now which it's led to, obviously, yes, more income and like tens of thousands of people within our organisation and clients. But it has created a really nice community. We can watch others thrive, not just with their health, but like they've changed their families' lives and their trajectory of the way they can live, and they can get after some of the dreams they've had.
And you have, and I think that's a story in itself.
Yeah.
The amount of doors and amount of success stories that you've created by the amount of people that are part of your journey as well, that you've opened doors for and embraced, and they've succeeded.
Yeah.
That's you don't.
It's rewarding. It's
very rewarding.
It's as good as being paid.
Yeah, 100%.
Because that's that feel.
Validation is unbelievable.
Yeah. You can't. It doesn't matter. No, you can't buy that good feeling inside.
No, it's amazing.
We set up the academy to give kids the opportunity to go forward, and to progress, not just in football but in life, which we've done. And then Herbalife gives us the opportunity for people to get in better health, state of health, get in better state of wealth. Can we change their financial position? Like at the end of the day, I just see it as if I'm using something and I talk about it and I'm promoting it by talking how it makes me feel, why not get paid for it?
What a great job.
Why not? I don't get paid for telling people how much I like my trainers.
No.
All right? But that's it's a really good, it's a great thing, and we absolutely love it, and it's led to doing something even bigger with Soccer Elite as well, because I wouldn't have been able to get we've obviously now we're in a different world where we've bought our own site, and it's in early stages, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's pretty amazing though, how quickly that you went from talking about it to then building it. And it's hard.
But you know what? Although not at one point it was scary. Not at one point was it scaring me. Like I knew I had something to sit inside it. I knew I could make it work, and I knew that the pitch was going to be the main thing.
So you've obviously you're up Star Meadow.
Yeah,
that was the Holland and Blair ground, right?
That's it.
Yeah. So how did that happen?
Well, obviously, you knew we always wanted our own. So from when me and Brownie started 20 years ago, we said that we would always wanted to have our own facility. We wanted to have something because remember Lillyshaw?
Yeah, I do.
All the England training ground, and then it's St George's and everything like that. We wanted somewhere where we could sit and watch the players train and look over and just be in an area where we can just do everything. And just before, so I spoke about, we tried to get Cobb down a few years ago, and it was just too big. A lot of grass, a lot of upkeep. I think the upkeep was just too much anyway. Didn't really happen. And then just as COVID happened, there was an opportunity and we had looked at Star Meadow before.
Yeah.
We'd trained up there. We'd used the little mini pitch. It's where we started our Gillingham Academy. Yeah. Richard Radbourne, like he come in. So between me and Rich, we bought Tony out.
Right.
I think that's that's like, I'm forever grateful for Brownie for what we've done together. I still see it as ours, because it built from the ground up.
Yeah.
No one thought we would ever be able to do it. We still chat now. He's got some great stuff going on. He works with players.
Does he?
Agents and everything. Yeah, he's very, very good at that type of thing anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it ended up like buying the business, gives Richard some shares in the company. And he's been a really, really good like general manager. And we're very different.
Yeah, and do you think you brought Richard in? I mean, we talk about this as well, is you bring people in to enhance the business.
Without doubt.
Yeah.
There's
a level.
Yeah, there's stuff that I can do, but there's a lot of stuff that I can't do.
Yeah.
And, I always knew that I needed people around me that can do the stuff that I can't do as well. He's great with like getting deals over the line, keeping everything tight, identifying like where the gaps are, especially with financially, tightening up in areas which is, I'm a little bit loose at times. I like to spend money and I like things to look nice, but you also need someone to go, oh,
yeah, rein it in.
Yeah, can't do that right now, or let's look at it a different way. So he's been great for that. And yeah, we played. Rich was a year below me at Gillingham as an apprentice.
Okay.
So I've known him a long, long time, and he was working for Daily Mirror, and he just wanted to get out of it. And to start with, he started coming in and he come and worked for us, and he was doing that type of role. And we made a big investment, because there was people at that time saying to me, "No, you can't have him in. You can't afford to have him." And me and Brownie were still partners then, and they were going, "No, I think it's too much of an outlay." But I knew the company needed it.
That in itself, I probably get more people talk to me about that in itself, about it's the chicken and the egg, yeah, but we can't afford it.
Yeah.
And my advice is very similar to what you've just said, is if you know your business and you know that person is going to bring value and take you to the next level in any aspect, it could be accountancy, it could be any aspect, as long as they enhance that business. And in business, there's a risk element. You have to take risk. And there is an element where it's an educated risk, but it's a risk at there. So bringing Richard in is that you knew your business, and you knew that if you didn't, it wouldn't take you to the next level. Yeah. Correct?
Yeah, he was coming in on a hefty salary, because we was having to replace what he was getting at the Mirror. But the pension and that was a little bit different, because we were in a different, but he was making a sacrifice as well for his lifestyle. And he loves football. He just loves it. You know what I mean? He could talk about it all day, and he knows so many people, and he gave us the footprint in Gillingham. He let me get after it, let me do it. So he paid for himself very quickly in a number of ways. And like you say there is, yeah, I knew that the value that he would bring would far outweigh and supersede what we was going to be having to find to make it happen. But yeah, so he's now a shareholder, and he knew that I always wanted the site. I don't think we both of us realised as much. I didn't even realise how much he actually wanted it, because we was working at Chatham just before COVID, and we'd built their scholarship. We recruited, we'd got it in place, and all well and good, but it still wasn't solely ours. We keep working for other people, building their scholarships. We still got Mapleston, and we've still got the A-level stuff. But to run your own, and
I agree.
Yeah, is the way forward, because you can manage the players. You
have the say.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
exactly.
final say is on you.
Yeah. So we saw COVID started to hit, and we had approached Star Meadow previously about acquiring the site, and it was too expensive.
Right.
it's 5 or 6 acres or something like that. And then COVID happened, and then obviously the site was null and void. It wasn't working. There was no activity there, and it started to drag on, and we went back in, even in COVID, with an offer, even though the site wasn't up and running, and we knew we had to leave Chatham. We wanted to move on. And I think this is a big thing for people if they're in business or going towards business, is if you really believe in what you do, sometimes you have to make big decisions.
You do.
And it was obviously a massive decision for us to go and buy, and we've got the freehold of it. It's not like renting anywhere. We went and got after it because we knew we had to own it.
Which isn't an easy process in itself.
Long.
Because long, and then you've got to find an investment. Yeah. Because that's a lot of money.
Yeah, and do you know what? We knew the bank wasn't going to lend us the money.
Yeah.
Because the site was classed as derelict.
Right.
There's no activity, right? So we had to finance it ourselves.
Which is massive.
Yeah, but you know what? Again, I actually didn't see it as, the only thing at the time is how quickly we're going to get out of COVID. All right, but at the same time, we know that we can't be in this forever.
No.
All right, so yeah, maybe in a bit of risk there, but anyway, we got the site.
Did you get the site and a better deal?
Yeah.
Because of COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we kept Wayne, who owned the site. It was Wayne and his dad. We kept him as part of the group as shareholders as well.
And is that why Holland and Blair are still there? Or?
No, Holland and Blair was always separate, and they rented.
Okay.
So it's not Holland.
So they've
Blair.
always rented that.
Yeah, so they're our tenant.
Okay.
So that was our thinking. We knew we had a ready-made clientele from them, and we had a ready-made clientele from SIFA. All right, and we didn't have to go and rent it to all these, like an hour here to someone, an hour here for the pitch. No. But the pitch isn't really what makes the money.
No.
All right, our academy sits in it, right? And then it's what you do with the people, because once you've got footfall, it's how you work with them. So we acquired the site. It took us longer than what we thought to get the plan in for the pitch, because the pitch was such a bad angle.
It was awful.
Oh, it's big slope, so we had to flip it, cut it and flip it. So much Rich done deals with like the local golf courses to get rid of soil, to take the soil. They still had to pay to go take it there, get away with all the lorries.
Yeah.
But it was less than what we would have had to pay. And I mean, Rich and Wayne looked after all them lorries going back and forward every day. They had like tickets up, and it was a big process. But the pitch went down, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And the minute we had the pitch down, we knew that we could run our scholarship from there as well. So the scholarship, we created our own college, and we built our own college. We've now got, I think we're up to just over 100 students there right now. We started with probably 30 or 40, because we moved some across from where in other areas. We recruited some because it was the end of the school year, ready to go for the next year. And we've got a great partnership with our education provider. We are the coaches that coach and educate. So they've come through our program. Only one of them that are so we've got 5 tutors. One of them, Nathan White, he come through SIFA. He's been with us a long time. Another great guy, very, very good. And we've got 4 of the others who have come through, and one of them's a TA, and the others have come through the scholarship program.
Which really helps your staff because they understand the model.
Yeah, and they're part of us, they're family.
Exactly. They understand the model because they've come through. Yeah. Yeah. And they obviously want to be part of that model.
Yeah, great role models. So it's just a win-win.
The model works.
Yeah, and they've got paddle courts going down. Yes. We've got plans to go to like a high rock style type gym, longevity clinic, wellness and saunas, cold plunges. We're having a smaller, like a goalkeeper zone with a 5-a-side pitch, and we're going to we've got 3 classrooms at the moment, and there'll be 6 coming soon.
So on the scholars, how long are they there for? So the scholars, as in, so when they do the all day, and they're there all day, 5 days a week.
Yeah, and my son's in there now as well.
Yes.
So Maddox is there. So their days, they come in at like 9:30 in the morning. So it's not, because we know that if you get him in there at 8:30, we know what the kids are like these days as well. The 8:30 start doesn't, because they come in for either training or education, depending on what group they're with. And so we tried to do the stuff that maybe didn't work for everyone at school, because a lot of them are coming in to play football or be involved in some sort of part of our ecosystem. Yeah. The graphic design, like coaching, working with the media, the groundsman, it could be anything. The nutrition. Yeah. So we don't want to get them in double early. We want to make sure that they can come in, and then they come in, they either train or play in the morning. They'll train for an hour and a half, hour and 45, and then they'll get lunch. And on the site, we've built something called the Fuel Box as well, which is nutrition products and whole foods. So Kelly, who works alongside us in there, we've sort of, they can get protein porridge. They can make a good start to the day. I think that's really important. Yeah. And it's an offering for them to be able to help educate them at the same time.
Yeah. We would have loved that, right?
Oh.
At that age, to be educated and know from my daughter and people around me that the pubs are empty and the nightclubs are no longer. And that's all to do with the younger generation now are being educated at that level. Yeah. They're in the gyms now. We didn't go to the gym at that age. We didn't have gyms. I mean, they were about.
It was different, wasn't it?
They were different for us. And I think where you're coming in is you're educating them at a very early age to look after themselves, which is it's a massive positive.
Yeah, it's something we love, like the positivity around everyone. You can see the shift in some of the ones that may not live so healthy or start their day in a different way or used to how they start up now. The way they carry themselves, it's hard because we've got so many students, and don't get me wrong, it's not all great all the time. We have to go through dealing with young people.
Yeah.
And we heavily invest in educating them from the outside as well, making sure that they understand because they're driving, some of them. So being careful on the roads, and it's not easy.
It's a minefield.
And you can't control them all.
You can't.
Had problems of late, and we're never going to be able to control that many people. And the young ones through the academy as well. We want them to be good role models, but by having adversity, it also helps the people in and around grow and learn. You can't. If everything went right all the time, we wouldn't be here, would we?
No. And I think once they leave your premises, it's out of your care. And I think you can only educate them in there. If they're obeying by your structure and your rules when they're there, there's not more you can do. It's a very similar situation. Schools and kids, mark kids, at home they're perfect. I hope to God that when they leave my home and they go around friends' houses or parents' houses, they're doing exactly the same what they would do in our house, apart from probably tidy up. But I've brought them up to be, and you're doing exactly the same with your scholars.
Yeah, and my kids Maddie's 19 now, Maddox is 17. And I mean, Maddox in a school environment, he was really popular, had great friends, but he struggled at times as well, and he won't mind me saying it because he ADHD.
Yes,
massive. When he got diagnosed for that, and even learning on different types of colour paper and things like that, I learned a lot from him. He helped me learn, because when we was going through the diagnosis, I quickly knew that was me too.
Yeah. And me too.
Yeah. But I also realised I wouldn't be here today if I wasn't the way I was doing what I do.
I agree. I mean, we spoke about it yesterday at the gym, and Rocky laughed and said, "Could you imagine you two in an interview?" Because it could go anywhere. We were talking yesterday, and you just suddenly went. We were talking about something completely different, and you went, "I like those trainers," And but that's the same as me. So, and again, going back to Maddox is that recognising it, which is a big thing, because you rely on the school to recognise it. And my daughter is also ADHD, and again, very similar to your story, is that when I was sitting there with her getting her diagnosed, the lady, bless her, she looked at me and went, it's you, and I've got it severe, I'm hyper-focused. Yeah, and then I wander, so I'm either hyper-focused or I start wandering on.
Very quickly distracted.
Yeah. So doing these podcasts, but to focus
Yeah.
is so difficult.
Yeah.
I'm finding it a little bit easier today because I'm getting used to them. But again, with the Maddox and you know, people don't realise it is a gift.
Yeah.
It can be a real gift.
I wrote him a little message.
Did you?
After, just to say, like, mate, everything here, it's a superpower. So, like, it's actually good that you're not like the everyday.
No.
Like, you can. I said this. If you use it in the right way, find your passion, like, and he will. He's a great singer.
Where's he get that from?
Have had good. Not me.
No. Rocky?
I don't know. I doubt it. But do you know what? I wish he'd have had lessons. But again, you can't force it on him.
No.
But this is his thing. I think that's his little release. The minute he gets in the shower or he's on his own anywhere, right?
Yeah.
You can hear him belting out.
Same as mine.
And I think that's kind of a release for him.
It is. It is a relief. But the youngest, she struggles with ADHD, very similar to Maddox. And when I go leave the house, she's like belches out, and it's good for him.
Yeah.
It's good for him. You should encourage it. I know you do.
Buzzing for him.
Yeah, and do you know what? Right. The ADHD thing.
I think that's it's the nail on the head, isn't it? It's like where you can go with something, and like that. Yeah, I actually think that, you know, working with these kids, and the more adversity you come up against, the more you see that life is very, very tough, like for anyone. And I think that's why we love working with them. We love working like we've got boys and girls at the scholarship. Miri Taylor's come through the program as well. She plays for Aston Villa now.
Yeah.
Like, and they're really good role models, and we've got great role models on and off the pitch. And we what we say to everyone when they come in, like, if you leave here a better person, and they're not all going to.
No,
we can't.
Statistics won't.
And it's the circles they hang around with as well. And we can try and guide them, but kids are kids.
They are.
When we've been young, so and I think we know the circles that you hang around with, that it can go one way or another.
Do you find that the mental health scenario is a lot more than it's ever been?
Big. I think it's because there's a lot more. People are talking about it a lot more as well.
Yeah.
He was talking about the tech, the social sites, the social media.
Social media you can't switch off, can you?
No, and I think that you can go down a rabbit hole with it. You can think that you're in a place that you might not be as well. So, I think that people are a lot more aware. People can but you can also, like we said, I think we try to help people get moving first before that. You can. I don't think you can talk about and try and get yourself out of a bad place.
No.
But like, I believe you can start moving.
Yeah, I agree.
To get there, like, it does raise the endorphins.
We talked about it the other day, didn't we? And
Yeah.
you know, through probably one of the most difficult times of my life when I lost my mum, I wanted to play football because my mind would switch off for 90 minutes of that period. And I say that in every changing room I've ever managed or ever coached, I always say to the lads, this is the best place to be. This is where you switch off from the outside world. Struggles. I remember driving to Cobdown, and I was just about to play, and I got a phone call from one of my, she was my PA at the time. She was PA/everything, I think, at the time. And we were tiny then, and we just set up the business. And she called me and said, Paul, we can't afford to pay you. I was questioning where my money was. And I was like, why hasn't, and we were waiting for a check. That's in the back of the day, checks used to come in, and we couldn't pay anyone. We couldn't pay, you know, and there weren't a lot of us then. You know, it was probably 6 at best. And I was like, I've got to pay, you know, my bills. And I went and played football, and I forgot everything.
Yeah.
For 90 minutes, I forgot everything. I forgot that I was free. And this is massively important to the kids that are with you and the kids that are playing football or any sport, is you forget about your problems.
I think that's why the program really works, and what we've built works, because they're actually moving, they're exercising, and do you know what? They're around people that are forward thinking. Our new courses now, we've got entrepreneurship, business courses, and we spoke about bringing some of them in with you. I can place them with people that, and they can work in our business as well, and we can identify where they're going to have potential to go in the future, because I think don't pigeonhole themselves, and we encourage them to, like, look at how you set up a business. They come and they learn about tax, they learn about VAT. They learn about payroll.
Which is nothing you learn about at school, right?
No. Investing their money, like how to keep some money aside, like it's really important.
Really is important.
And it's not just taxes; it's corporation tax if they got their own business.
Yeah.
So there's so much more to it. Like we said, develop the person as well as the player.
Yeah.
And we hope we're doing that on and off the pitch, like with hopefully setting them up in the right way. We can only do what we can do.
Of course.
And then, but we've got really good people around us that we can send them to.
Well, you're giving them the tools.
Yeah.
It's whether they want to use them or not.
Yeah.
And that's that you can't make it all of them use them. I mean, that's just it's the same process in any business. You get the certain people that will want to be part of it.
Yeah.
And you got certain kids that probably won't. But you know, the steps that you're taking to do so, I don't think there's many people or many academies around that do what you do. No,
we try to. I mean, just having the site alone, like they can go and work within the paddle area. They can go and work in the gym area. We've got PT courses.
Yeah.
So they can go and work there. They can become a physiotherapist.
Yeah.
So there's so many exit pathways.
Yeah.
Videography, like look at this. We were talking about it today. Having people around you that can, like, profile what they're doing as well. Do you know what I mean? This is the way of the world now.
It's massive.
So
it is massive, and with the paddle is obviously skipping to that a little bit. Is when you're looking to go live, have you got
it's all in the planning. It's taken longer than expected. It always does, doesn't it? But yeah, we're hoping to be this year. It'll be early this year.
Exciting.
Really good free courts.
Yeah.
But great for the players that are there as well. Great for it brings a new clientele. But really looking forward to that. And I think that's what's now taken us on, because obviously most recently we've opened in UAE.
Yes.
In Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Josh Stanford, who was one of our coaches and worked in the team at SIFA, friend of him for a long time. He had an academy out in Abu Dhabi. He's been out there for 7 years now as a teacher when he went out there. I think it's 7, but he's been up and running for 3 to 5 years with a company called Maestros.
Okay.
And I was just struggling a little bit to attract like a high level quality, high level talent as well. A lot of competition. It's very different. The culture's different out there. But we've been out there a while now, like, and doing some work, and we've got teams out there. We've got an elite under 12s that are be coming over here for a pro tour in March to play against Charlton, to come to our site.
Brilliant.
But we can do exchanges both ways. We've got investors out there and new business partners that will be building the site out there. But it's now opening up more opportunities to go either way. Recently set up the trade license and the business, so
it's moving quick, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's so good.
Yeah.
Like for networking, people want to help everyone. Yeah. Opportunities. Different culture. Completely.
Don't feel like you're on your own.
No, I mean, over here we know friends with network, but people are ready to like stand with you and like really support when they see something that's being done well.
We could learn from that, right?
Yeah.
We really could.
We could.
Yeah, it's different, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got some really good people that we're already aligned with. Some positive contracts that are moving in with like local schools and in the big malls out there, because obviously it's very hot in the summer, so we've got blow up pitches, 3v3 pitches that can go inside the malls where they're air conned.
You showed me them, they're pretty impressive.
They're cool.
Yeah.
And it's just different. We got a futsal program out there, but I've loved it. I've been back and forward for a while now. I went out there with the company I'm involved with, Playback, which films the players, and it gives them a sort of ecosystem to have all of their clips saved in one place. A guy called Karim, he's the owner and founder of it. And
will they all be wearing your badges, like Soccer Elite?
Out in Abu Dhabi, there'll be a transition there'll be 300 and plus kids by June, all in the SIFA kit. And Playback is how I got there, and I spent a lot of the end of last year out there, and at the beginning of this year I've been out there. And there's lots to do over in this country still, but again, it just gives us that we're in talks with pro clubs in South Africa who want to be aligned with us, someone in Italy. And I mean, along the way we've had great successes here. We've got like the players that have gone pro and everything like that. It just shows the pathways.
The success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over 25 professional players, over 300 semi-professional players in the game. But now we'll probably have something out there where we've got a management structure as well for the players.
To mobilise that itself, that takes some doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you've been out there quite a lot recently, but that's a big ask, isn't it? Because obviously you've still got the core business here.
Yeah.
Can't take your eye off that core business. And how do you plan for that, Lee? How do you like, because that's growth in it.
Yeah. I think the people around you.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that the structure's right, and obviously you're in constant contact. And we obviously got Herbalife running. We got the site, Herbalife, CIFA UK, CIFA UAE. There's a lot going on, but I think that over the years we've made such good decisions with people and people who run, who have got their roles and responsibilities. And then obviously clarity in everyone knows what they're doing in their areas. So it's no good me going out to UAE and not having a business partner I can trust. The people are great out there, and I think the meetings have been very, very solid, and we go away with an action plan constantly. It's something I wouldn't have known setting up all them years ago.
No.
I've kind of gone to UAE, although it's a different culture, with 20 years experience under my belt. And yeah, there's things that we're going to be learning. The schooling's slightly different. The scholarship's something that we're going to be working on out there. But having an action plan and understanding your model, and your
important.
environment, you would know that with your business. If you haven't got complete clarity, then you could be like ducking and diving in and out of things that are not being effective.
Yeah, you waste a lot of time as well.
Yeah.
If you haven't got clarity and you haven't got structure, you're kind of wasting a lot of valuable time, and also it might not work. Now, if you haven't got some structure,
because you can only last with so much energy for so long.
You can.
I realised that in the early days, and like you're saying about paying the way you use paying people, same happened with us. So identifying where the pressure points are, who are we, what do we do, all right, and what does the client need? I think that's
massive.
And that's why I spent so much time out there. What do they need? What makes them tick? They get so much more contact time out there because there's no grassroots clubs. You're in an academy. So there's loads of competition, but in my eyes, we're going to be the ones doing it the best. So yeah, it's, I'm buzzing for it.
Yeah, I can tell. And even on that, what you just said about what do they want? What do they need? That's massive. You rarely hear that. I think we lose track of that. At the end of the day, they're the client. What do they need?
Yeah, that's how we get paid.
Exactly.
If they're going to pay for the value that they're receiving, and if we've got something that they actually feel that they need, especially when you're dealing with in an academy environment with kids or anything to do with kids. I'm a parent. I know if my kid's getting value and he's enjoying it and he's getting something from it, then I'm willing to pay top dollar.
Of course.
But there's got to be a scale as well, because not everyone can afford to pay that.
Okay, of course.
So you have to have entrance points. You have to have a model that can pivot. And I believe we've got it. And I believe we've got the people around that care enough to deliver.
I used to say to a guy that worked for me, I won't name him because I could strangle him at some days. And he was a lovely guy. But I used to say there, and he was in sales. And I say, but your reception. And he used to look at me and I go, this is a hotel. Your reception. So when they walk in,
hang on,
you need to educate them and you need to make them feel that they're not going to go elsewhere. That's your first thing you do. And then what you need to do is do your job properly, and then you guide them to your room. And then they kind of and I used to go through that process with everyone in my workplace. He used to get it so wrong. He'd miss his deadline day, or he wouldn't even let them know. And then he'd promise them deadline days. And then what he'd do is he'd miss them deadline days. So he'd miss one, miss two, miss three. Then it'd come to me. And then it was sitting him down and try to educate him and say, the client is the most important part of that business. The people and the client, you get them two right in that business, you've got a successful business.
Yeah, and you have to be open to criticism. You have to listen. You have to know where the tweaks have to be, where you've been refined, and that's same with our nutrition business and what we do there. There's so many synergies in between them, like listening and understanding, you know, what they want to get out of it. And if you understand that, I think people say that the social media is the best way to drive a bit, but what we're doing now, we obviously referrals in, like we build like CIFA build communities. So we set up a program and we're going to build a community. So everyone has to feel good. They have to feel a good energy. The characters of the coaches have to be great. And it's no different with our Herbalife business. The nutrition clubs, for instance, it's all about building the community, referrals and talking to people and and you have to see results. So we have to provide results, and parents have to see progression and their kids develop. And when they come to a nutrition club or come to me for help, they have to see that there's a pathway set out for them, and they can see, even if it's small incremental results over time, they're better than a quick result, because they're constantly seeing. And this is what I saw when I went back out to Abu Dhabi, because we're getting so much more contact time with them. The results are being, like, the development is so much quicker. So I'm thinking, and the guy that we're working with out there, I think, you know, our main aim is to produce the first Emirati Premier League footballer. And I think out of an academy, I think we can do that. I'll take that challenge all day, and that's something to strive towards. So where we are now, and like, don't get me wrong, there's people saying to us, oh, like they're just growing. It's all about the money. And that brings me on to really where it probably would wrap it up, is because so many people want to say, oh, they're just a money-making business. That's what they said to start with about CIFA. Yeah. Oh, they're the money-making organisation. Yeah, well, what are you? Do you go to work? Do you get paid? Do you have to pay the bills? Yeah. Who's going to pay for your floodlights? Who's going to pay for your stuff?
The lights will be off.
Where does this beautiful kit come from? Where do these unbelievable balls come from that we try and pay top money for at that level? You know what I mean? The coaches, the facilities, everything. Everything. Yeah, we have to make money and we have to live. So we're a money-making organisation, but not at the detriment of our players. And that's same with Herbalife. And there'll be along the journey, there has been people that is pushed back, and people who pull against you or might not agree with what you do. And I've seen that still now. Like, people might not agree with what I'm doing in Abu Dhabi or going out there, but my vision is that I'm creating more pathways, and also I can create an opportunity for my life as well, to go and spend some time in a different country, different culture for my children. So I'm going to be selfish along the way as well, because there's stuff that we all want to do. I think Lee, that is a massive thing. I think you have to be a bit selfish. We all have that. You know, I have people make certain comments, and I have. They're not so much no more, but it did when I was growing my business, is, well, it's all right for you. And you sit there, you know, and I used to laugh, and, you know, I used to bite back in the day, you know, like, and I'd be like, all right for me, you know, all right for me. You know, if anything, you know, my life's not been a bed of roses. Like us all, we all have obstacles. We all are given the same opportunities. Yeah, it's whether you take them or not. And the Abu Dhabi situation is, you've taken that opportunity. Yeah, you've taken the risk, you've taken the opportunity, and hopefully you'll get the reward. And I know you will. But people that are that narrow-minded to sit there and say, well, it's all right for you, or it's, you know, or you've just, it's a money-making scheme. That's naivety on them. And it's also the green monster, you know. We all talk about the jealousy, and there's a lot of people out there that will listen to this, and some might go, oh yeah, that might be me, or if they're honest, and you don't get a lot of that in this day and age, people won't even look at themselves. But I do feel quite passionate about that, because I've had that throughout my life, and I know you have, and you know, and I know that. But what I would say is what you've created is a professional academy that has established itself truly in the market, and you're growing, and I think you'll smash it out out there. And I think even with the Herbalife, look what you've done with that. Your brother was a game changer. You know, yourself is massively involved in that as well, and even your wife is, you know, has taken that on as well. And I think it's phenomenal. Yeah, I think it really is. And I think whatever you put your mind to, you seem to succeed because you have that desire. I think that is really about, like what we spoke about at the beginning, is if you find something you love, you can make it work, and there's opportunity in your passion. And it's something that we talk about to a lot of the people that we're involved with now, is like, go and, if you can find something that, even if you're working for someone right now, or you're in a 9-to-5 job, or you're employed, but you've got something burning inside of you that tells you want to go and do something that you love, or you can start it on the side.
I agree.
Because Soccer Elite was started on the side.
Yeah, M&P was.
Yeah. While I played football, I had the opportunity to still earn money playing football. That's why I didn't have to take wages from SEFA to start with. But if you can start something on your side, and you put your energy in your spare time, and that soon starts to repay you more, doesn't it?
It does.
You hear it a lot. I believe in that. And yeah, we have got like some big business entities running.
Yeah.
And I'd like to, even like someone said they're enterprises to me the other day, and I'm like, oh, like even now after what we're achieving, and like I said, we're nowhere near where we want to be. We're always striving for more, that extra 1%, whether it be my body, the way I feel, my business, life. And don't get me wrong, made some huge mistakes, and I will continue to do it.
Yeah.
But like we said earlier, we get back up and we get after it. Yeah. But yeah, it's been. I've loved being on here, and it's nice to be able to talk to others about what we do.
I agree. I think I appreciate you coming on, and I've been at you for a while. Come on, and you honestly, you were like, yeah, of course, and embraced it straight away. And I know how busy you are as well. Any advice to the youngsters or anyone that's thinking that take the next step? What would you give that advice to? What would you say to them? That one thing to say.
Obviously they got to believe from the start. They got to live, breathe it, and we spoke about the word immerse yourself in it. I think if you have the passion and you've got the belief, then you've just got to get started.
Yeah.
It sounds cliche, but nothing changes, does it? Until they start, and you can do that but you have to be prepared to work hard. Something that Daniel had wrote on his board that our dad used to say to us, and Dan had it on his whiteboard where all his clients were coming in, and we had it on our Soccer Elite board. One was, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah.
Which I can feel it.
Yeah.
Emotional.
It's a great saying.
Yeah. And the other one was written on the bottom, and this isn't in a nasty way. It just said get rid of dead wood immediately.
Agree.
And that's not in the business.
No.
That's in people around you, not serving you.
Yeah.
So I think that's the advice. If they've got people around them that might be telling them that they don't want to do it, it might be for the wrong reason. It might be because they're jealous of them, and it might be because it's something that they might want to do, but they haven't got the guts to go and get started. So that's where I say you always just get started and enjoy every moment of the ups and downs, and embrace it like we've done.
Yeah.
And then share and network.
And you can build, and you can also have some amazing people around you that will also be friends for life, that will help. I certainly have. I've got some really good people in my life that have helped me. I wish I had that at the earlier days, because it probably would have made things a little bit easier. But that makes you where you are now. Does that? So yeah, anything you're listening to or have listened to that you would say to someone it's a must to listen to or read?
Well, the person that changed a lot for me was Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
And Tony Robbins. So
Tony Robbins is brilliant.
Because Tony Robbins learnt from Jim Rohn, and he's just put a whole new dimension, I think, and that's where self-investment comes on it, and working on yourself.
It does.
Like, be the best version of you, physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever you can do. But like for me, that's a game changer. And and then obviously look after your body.
Yeah, must.
Look after your mind. If you've got that running smoothly and all the best of it can be, you're going to be productive. Yeah,
pretty wise words, to be fair. Like I say, Tony Robbins, I've listened to him myself, and I'd love to go to one of his seminars, to be fair, because they look so inspiring.
Yeah, energy.
But, the energy he brings, because he's so positive.
Yeah.
And his story's pretty incredible as well, of his upbringings and things like that. So, yeah, look, again, I appreciate today. I really do. And
I've loved it.
Me too. And it's, you know, I think we're like nearly 3 hours in and it feels like 10 minutes. So I could talk all day long. So no, I appreciate everything done. And you know this anyway, as a friend, more than business, is that I wish you all the best. And, you know, I know you're going to smash it.
Thanks, mate.
I'd like to say a massive thank you to my guest, Lee Spiller, and you, the listeners. Please follow and share. Thank you for listening.